Welcome to Politically Left. Today we're diving into a new Atlas Intel survey and where it places Democratic favorites, specifically AOC. Is she preparing for a presidential run in 2028? Let's get into it. On May 8th, 2026, Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez sat down with Democratic strategist David Axelrod at the University of Chicago's Institute of Politics. He asked her flat out if she was running for president. She didn't say yes. She didn't say no. Instead, she said something that should electrify the Democratic establishment. Quote, "They assume that my ambition is a title or a seat. My ambition is way bigger than that. My ambition is to change this country. Presidents come and go. Senate, House seats, elected officials come and go. But single-payer health care is forever. A living wage is forever. Workers' rights are forever. Women's rights, all of that." The crowd erupted. 4 days later, the polling came out. For the first time ever, AOC leads the Democratic primary field for president, and the pollster behind it is the most accurate in America. Atlas Intel surveyed 2,069 American adults between May 4th and May 7th, 2026. This isn't just any pollster. Atlas Intel was ranked the most accurate polling company of the 2024 election by Nate Silver and the most accurate pollster of the 2020 election by 538. Here's what they found among Democratic voters. AOC leads with 26%. That's a 10-point increase from earlier polls. Pete Buttigieg follows with 22.4%. Gavin Newsom with 21.2%, and Kamala Harris with just 12.9%. No other candidate cracked double digits. Andy Beshear at 4.1%. Cory Booker at 3.9%. Josh Shapiro at 2.4%. Gretchen Whitmer at 1.1%. This is the first time any poll has shown AOC in the lead. On the Republican side, Marco Rubio leads the field with 45.4%, followed by J.D. Vance at 29.6% and Ron DeSantis at 11.2%. Early polls are not always predictive, but they matter for fundraising, media attention, and donor interest. And when the most accurate pollster of the last two cycles shows a shift this dramatic, political insiders pay attention. Atlas Intel's track record is exceptional. In 2024, while other pollsters missed Trump's margin, Atlas Intel got closer than anyone. They have credibility across the political spectrum. So when they show AOC leaping from single digits, 9% in the April Harvard/Harris poll, to 26%, that's not noise. That's a signal. What AOC is actually saying and not saying. She's not declaring. She's not even hinting. But she's also not shutting the door. In her conversation with Axelrod, she framed her ambition not as a desire for power, but as a desire for change. She explicitly connected that change to the policies she's championed her entire career. Single-payer health care, a living wage, workers' rights, women's rights. She also referenced the Washington Post op-ed that labeled her a potential 2028 contender. She called it a veiled threat from the elite. This was the elite saying, if you want this job, you just stepped out of line. And we want you to know where the real power is. And it's in the modern-day barons who own the Post and own the algorithms. She's not scared of them. That's the point. Prediction markets are still skeptical. On Polymarket, AOC's odds of being the Democratic nominee are just 8.6%, with a trading volume of over $12.8 million. Newsom leads there with 24%. On Kalshi, Newsom leads with 25%. AOC second at 10%. Harris at 9.8%. The smart money isn't fully convinced, but the gap between polling and prediction markets suggests the markets are betting on establishment consolidation, not grassroots energy. Here's the data that explains why AOC is rising. According to CNN's Harry Enton, 58% of voters now say the Democratic Party is too liberal. That's up from 42% in 1996 and 48% in 2013. That's the headline the establishment uses to argue for centrism. But here's what they're not telling you. 42% of Democrats under 35 identify as Democratic Socialists. A third of all Democrats, including Democratic-leaning independents, say the same. The party is becoming more progressive at the base level, even as the general electorate perceives it as too far left. That's the contradiction at the heart of the 2028 primary. The Echelon Insights poll found that 68% of Democrats align more with democratic socialism than capitalism with sensible regulation. That's not a fringe. That's more than two-thirds of the party. The base is hungry for a fighter, and AOC is the fighter. The establishment's case against AOC is simple. She's too far left to win a general election. Dick Morris, the former Clinton advisor turned Trump ally, argues that Democrats always move to the left after losing elections and are becoming unelectable. He's not wrong that 58% of voters see the party as too liberal. But here's what the same polling shows. AOC's favorability rating is 46%, higher than Trump's 44%, Vance's 42%, and Harris's 42%. In head-to-head matchups against Vance, his lead over AOC, 44% to 41%, is virtually identical to his lead over Newsom and Buttigieg. The general election fear might be overblown, or it might be real. But the base is tired of losing with centrists who don't inspire anyone. They'd rather take a risk on someone who actually fights for what they believe in. Here's where the anxiety comes in. The Democratic establishment has a long history of sabotaging progressive candidates. In 2016, the DNC's lawyers argued in court that the party charter does not require the DNC to remain neutral, meaning they were legally entitled to rig the primary for Hillary Clinton. In 2020, the establishment consolidated behind Joe Biden just as Bernie Sanders was surging. Every single moderate candidate dropped out within days and endorsed Biden. That wasn't organic. That was coordinated. The DNC is already preparing for 2028. They're selecting early states for the primary calendar. The same people who rigged 2016 and 2020 are still in power, and they have every incentive to stop AOC if they can. The question is whether they can. The centrist vote is split between Newsom, Buttigieg, and Harris. That's different from 2020, when the establishment had a single candidate to rally around. If the centrists stay divided, AOC could win with a plurality, not a majority, and the establishment might not be able to stop her. The bottom line, is AOC running? Not officially, but she's not ruling it out, and she's building the infrastructure. Can she win the primary? Yes. The polling shows her leading, and the base is on her side. Can she beat the establishment? That's the real question. The DNC will try to stop her. Whether they can depends on whether the centrists unite. Is the party shifting left? Unambiguously, yes. 68% of Democrats align with democratic socialism. 42% of young Democrats identify as socialists. Will the general electorate accept her? That's the risk. But the base is tired of losing with candidates who don't inspire them. AOC didn't declare her candidacy in Chicago. She didn't have to. She said her ambition is bigger than a title. She said she wants to change the country. She said presidents come and go, but policy is forever. Then the most accurate pollster in America dropped a bomb. She's leading the Democratic primary field for the first time ever. The establishment is scared. The prediction markets are skeptical. The DNC is already plotting. But the base? The base is ready. For the first time since Bernie Sanders, they have a fighter who actually represents them. Whether she can overcome the machine that destroyed Bernie is the question that will define the next 2 years. Get ready. It's going to be a war. This has been Politically Left. Thanks for listening. As always, like, share, repost. Until next time.